Hey there, believers. Today we're going to talk to Chris from the Squatch Survival Gear company on Instagram. He has a really good presence on there. He has an amazing product, and I'm not bringing him on to talk about his products necessarily. He's had some experiences um, with some things that he wanted to share. I'll let him get into all of that, but while we're waiting for him to come on, I'll go ahead and try to do a little screen share. Well, it won't let me do it till he's on the call. But I was going to show you what he has to offer. You can go to squatchsurvivalgear.com. I'm not trying to do a promotion for him right now, but I just really believe in these products. I have the Rock 8 pack. I think it's amazing. These are uncertain times we live in for anybody, anywhere. He has some really good, reliable, rugged gear. I bought some for Christmas gifts this year. I believe in this product, what he has to sell. So check it out. It's squatchsurvivalgear.com. And you can use my promo code. It's BUMP10. Saves you 10% site wide, no matter what you want to buy. But we'll go ahead and get Chris on the show. Okay, while we wait for Chris, he's downloading the Zoom app right now so we can do this. I'll go ahead and show you his website real quick, just real quick. It's squatchsurvivalgear.com. It says, we have the gear you need to survive the worst day of your life. And man, is that ever true. Until you're in that situation, you won't know. So he's got it all. It really gets into the good stuff for me down here. I'm a backpack freak. You know, I got a million of them. But this right here, this is the Rock 8 framed pack. It's absolutely my favorite one I've ever owned. I've had LL Bean. I've had Camelbacks. This pack is, it's awesome. So get on there, check it out. The Rock 8 framed pack. He's done giveaways. You know, he gave away one of these Manahuni packs. It's another one that's great. You just can't go wrong. It just depends on how big of a bag you need. I picked the Rock 8 because I like to camp. You know, I get into bushcraft camping and stuff like that. Rock 8 is perfect for 72-hour bag for me. I can put all my gear in there, all my camping gear, you know, anything I want to cook with or whatnot. But you can easily convert that into a go bag, you know. And we just gotta be ready. We gotta be ready for whatever faces us. So I'm not turning this into a conspiracy show, although some days I wish I could. What I am going to do is tell you that to be prepared at all times. That's not conspiratorial. That's just being smart. You can hit the fan any day. We never know. So just having a go bag ready, something you can throw in the trunk of your car, something you could keep in the trunk of your car, ideally. To have everything you need, you know, have some rations and stuff to last you for 3 days, and some food and some affordable shelter, you know, right there on the spot. All right, here's Chris. We'll go ahead and jump on here now with him. I'm getting synced up. Hey, Chris, can you hear me? I can't see your screen. I think your video and your audio is turned off. It should be in the bottom left-hand corner, maybe, of your screen. There'll be a mute button and a little camera button. You can turn those on.
I hate that.
Oh, there you go. I can hear you now.
Can you?
Yeah.
I don't have any video, but
yeah, man,
in
you're
case
fine
you
with that.
noticed, I'm all thumbs when it comes to this, brother.
Hey, man, me too. I'm a caveman when it comes to technology, man. I try to explain that all the time. I'm trying to do YouTube and stuff like that, but I suck at this stuff, man.
Is my camera not working?
All I can see is Squatch Survival. There should be a little video camera down there, and it'll say, stop video or start video or something. There you go. Perfect.
All right. I got this totally wrong. I do not want to see my ugly mug.
That's perfect, man. That's perfect.
Well, I'm going to try and do all this on my phone because my earpiece works way better.
Yeah. Yeah, you sound good.
If I don't wear my earpiece when I'm doing a video, then it picks up a ton of family background noise, and people are always like, "Why is it so noisy in your house?" I'm like, 6 people live here and 2 German Shepherds. You figure it out.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And my neighbors have like 16 cats, so
that's something for the German Shepherds to play with, right?
oh yeah, that and the skunks and the possums and the raccoons and the armadillo on occasion. How you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's nice to finally meet you kind of in person.
Yeah, it's as good as we're going to get. Ain't it? We're about 1,200 miles apart, so this is as fun as it gets for now.
I wish I'd had this kind of clarity when I was in Afghanistan every time.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Exactly.
Speaking of this kind of clarity, me and my buddies, me and one friend in particular, he lives in Michigan, and we do these meetings every week on Thursdays. Thursdays at about 5:00 my time, about 4:00 your time, and we call it happy hour. And we sit down and we have a few beers, and we just shoot the shit for a couple of hours. Yeah, stay in touch, shoot the breeze, and we try to bring people on every week, and we're going to put it on some kind of podcast platform, I think, and just call it like, something like happy hour or something, but we're trying to keep it with veterans only. So
okay, if there's
ever a week you want to do it, man, I'll bring you on, and we just talk about what the hell ever we want to talk about. It is not politically correct. We talked about the inauguration and stuff today, and we bitched to each other, and I'm going to put it on some kind of pay site probably. That way it won't get taken down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Hey, if you don't mind, I wanted to talk about Billy a little bit. I had some thoughts after, like, I listened to the podcast and then I watched the YouTube video. They were really close. So I don't know if it was a direct, like it was just a video of the audio because it seemed really close. But I had some thoughts based on some of the things that he had said and some of the things. I am this voracious reader of all things anthropology and cryptid related. So he said some things when you were talking to him. He said he had a mound, right, on his property.
Yep.
Okay, so a lot of people don't know this. Just like a year or two ago, the people who are always out there looking for the missing link, they were talking about how they've pretty much figured out that Neanderthal and Denisovian, those pre-human lines, buried their dead. And they visited their graves, right? So he was saying, hey, I got this burial mound, and there's a ton of sightings around burial mounds. I know that's pretty well documented. Yeah. So I was like, maybe he might take some time to leave some flowers, leave some gifts there at the burial mound. Because if that burial mound isn't, like, it's more Squatch related than, Native American or early settlers, it might go over a lot better with the little community that he seems to have if that picture that he posted, that was a little one, a juvenile, right? Because he's got the picture of the big one looking at him from his hip phone, and then he's like, but there's this other little dark splotch that kind of looks like it could be one. And I agree, it's kind of people shaped.
Yep.
So I was thinking, I was like, well, he's hunting in that area, so they're both hunting in the same area. So as to not cause conflict, maybe he wants to like leave part of that deer at a place where the ground eating animals won't get the internal organs, or like even leave a quarter of the deer. I mean,
Right.
you definitely don't want that something that large and capable of standing behind you for 40 minutes without making a noise, pissed off at. I mean, it's like bringing a 6-pack. Like, hey, I know I'm coming to your house. I brought a case of beer, bud. I
Right.
don't know. Couldn't hurt, right?
Right. Yeah, I like that, man. Yeah. You know, Chris, up here in West Virginia, we are deep in the mounds areas. The Adena
Right.
people, the Hopewell. There are mounds all around us. A lot of them just got completely leveled out, and they've had stuff built on top of them and stuff. Even one of the state in downtown Logan, there's a big state building on top of a Shawnee burial ground. They discovered like 30 some sites on that property, and they scooped up the bones and would not relocate them anywhere in the state. They had to get a Native American group out of New York to come down and claim the bones and remove them. But yeah, there are big mounds with giants that have already been, they run the bore and the scope down through it, and they found, 8-foot long, assembled skeletons in all these, and a lot of these mounds down here. And, I can be at them in about 45 minutes from my house.
Dude, you got to send me some links or pictures of that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's something. For some reason, those finds, I remember Discovery or somebody was doing the two brothers that were looking for the giants, and they were combing through all the history. And then one of the guys that was fighting in the Revolutionary War was like 7+ feet tall, 2 rows of teeth, and they were trying to track down where he was buried at in Massachusetts. I don't know if you followed that. I'm like that. That's me, right?
Oh yeah,
those are the shows that I watch.
Yeah, I'm huge on giants in America, and it might be because it's so thick in my area, but nobody talks about it here. It's just, yeah, those are those are Indian mounds, they call them, but no, it's not.
Well, I mean, some of them would almost have to be, right?
Right.
I mean, just sheer volume. You've got to think burial customs. We bury people.
Yeah.
Just period. I mean, now they're saying, hey, Neanderthal buried people. So that means if you believe in that, there's one unbroken line to us, which I don't subscribe to that at all. Then you're looking at, that tradition being held over throughout time. Out in Oklahoma, there's a ton of Native American cultures that do not bury their dead, right? They bury them above ground until they're bones.
Right.
Because putting them in the ground could impede their spirit going to the next life.
Right.
So I really enjoyed I've listened to a ton of podcasts. The 2-parter that you did to start this season, like that blew my mind. But I think Billy is probably my second favorite at this point. That's the one I keep sharing to people, because especially on the YouTube channel, because you've got, I mean, the picture's pretty good for a guy who just took a hip shot. And I don't think most people realize, like, they see all these animal photos in the wild and they don't realize what kind of hardware and equipment and how long you had to wait to get that one shot, or how many pictures that you had to take to be able to get one.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah,
it's
I was impressed with Billy.
And he was there at the Finding Bigfoot thing that you guys went to. If you can tell me that. I mean, if you can't, you can't.
Well, yeah, I signed something, but I think it was more like a personal injury. If you're there, you got to sign a waiver kind of thing.
Makes sense.
We went there. We had a town hall meeting in this big barn, and Billy had his wife Sheena there.
Super jealous, by the way.
Thanks, man.
I feel like they'll probably scrub my speech the whole 9 yards anyway, because I didn't put my eyes on a Bigfoot, and several people did, and it's going to be a big episode. They got
Put you
some
down
good.
the totem pole.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's another podcast I listen to here. It's called Wild and Weird Radio. It's Wild and Weird West Virginia, and they do state folklore and stuff like that. But the guy that is one of the hosts, his name's Joe. He actually cast some tracks at this site in the Kanawha State Forest here, and he got to take them out and show them everything. And I can't wait for that to air, man, because I got to hold the tracks. I've known Joe for a couple of years, so I believe what he says. But Billy, I think there was like a scheduling conflict when the crew tried to go out there with Billy. I'm not 100% sure because they were only here for a limited time, and I don't know what all they got to do with him. So I'll have to wait too and see what they did, because he came in, he did the interview, he described everything he had, he showed them pictures, he pointed it out on the map where he was at, and then they go to his location the next day. So I'm just as excited as anybody else to see what he had to say. But Sheena, that's her family property.
Yeah.
I was hoping to talk to her because they've seen lights. They've had a lot of strange orbs.
He said that. I was like, that's interesting.
A lot of people say that they see these lights in conjunction with Bigfoot sightings, like in the same area or just before or just after seeing Bigfoot. And if you listen to Sasquatch Chronicles with Wes Germer, I don't know if you listen to that show or not, but it's like
I don't think I listen to it frequently.
Yeah, he is like the authority on Bigfoot stories, man. He's got like 800 episodes, and they're all Bigfoot, But
yeah,
over the years, he has discovered this link between these strange lights and Bigfoot, and he can't make it out. Nobody really knows what's going on, but it's definitely interesting, and it ties into the mounds. I don't know. I'm excited about the show myself, man.
I'll have to go pick that one up. Do you listen to Dixie Cryptid on YouTube?
I don't.
You should listen. He's got some, like, I guess people just write in and give him, like, hey, this is, like, don't tell anybody my name. This is my story. And some of them go back to the 70s, right?
Yeah.
That clearly people are just like, hey, I didn't feel comfortable with sharing it.
Yeah.
So he's got, I mean, there's no video really. He reads people's fan letters, and he's really entertaining. He's really fun. And he's just basically like, people email him a story and he just reads it and kind of it's like, wow, just makes his commentary off of that.
Yeah.
So it's not really, it's like old fashioned oral history. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I will definitely check that out. I wrote it down here so I won't forget, because my memory ain't for crap.
Yeah. Part of getting older.
That's it, brother. Well, hey, I just, like I said, I had that show. I hung up with them so I could get a hold of you. Apparently, Zoom has changed their criteria. So as far as the video portion goes,
okay,
I can only do Zoom calls for about 40 or 45 minutes at a time. So if we run over, I might have to send you another link, or we can just try to get everything in there in the shorter amount of time and do it like a 2-parter sometime.
Hey,
or whatever.
However you want to do it, man. I'm easy. Okay. You don't even have to buy me dinner, baby.
They didn't have these restrictions on when I started using Zoom.
It's a Chinese-based company. They don't really like us.
Exactly. I was able to have, about a month ago, I did an 8-hour sit down with my buddies. I had people from Oklahoma and Michigan and me. We're all talking. We tied one on and we talked for 8 hours from 4:30 to 12:30 at night, and it was great. But about a week ago, they started hitting me with this. Oh, you got a time limit unless you want to pay $150, and I'm not doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So you want to get into this? I'll tell you the story of June 18, 2014. I can tell you a short Bigfoot story. It's the only one I got, and then I can run right into the voice of God. You can figure out from there.
Absolutely. I'll sit here and I'll listen to you, let you get your story out, and I'll jump in with oohs and ahs and questions as we go. Okay.
All right, sounds good. So when I was stationed at Fort Bragg, and I was at Fort Bragg from 2000 to 2007, we got tasked to do this little training exercise, sling load. I don't know if you're familiar with sling load, but whenever you see the helicopter and it's dangling the trucks, we were doing that. So they were moving people in sling loads out to an LZ landing zone out near the Uwharrie National Forest in North Carolina. So it's a little bit of a helicopter ride, but not much from where we're at Fort Bragg. And that's as best as my memory can tell you. So we're out there, and one of my guys, flags me down. He's like, "Hey, sir, we got a dude out there that's lost." So he's looking through a FLIR, and we're only out there with like a remnant of like HHC and some other people, and our Alpha Company and HHC. Basically like, hey, we just picked a bunch of volunteers, and so they're setting up their little perimeter, their little circle or whatever, and we're with our trucks and our other stuff. And he's looking through the FLIR, and he's telling me about this guy that's lost out there. And he's like, yeah, this guy must really be lost. So I go and I look through the FLIR at what he's looking at, because he's got it locked on, and it looks like a person, but I'm watching it move. And if you spend a lot of time in night vision and FLIR, people they move a certain way and they look a certain way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this guy was off, and I couldn't figure out at the time what was off. When he moved, his movement was off. His proportions seemed a little off. And I watched him for a good 30 plus seconds or so. And then I told my guy, I'm like, hey, go ahead and laze that and tell me what distance he's at. Because it looks like me out there walking, somebody my size. So to give you some perspective, I'm 5'10", I wear a double XL shirt and I fill it up. I'm 23 inches wide at the shoulders, 22 and change or whatever. And he looks like me, but not quite.
Mm-hmm.
So my guy lazes it. It's like 1,000, 1,200 meters. That's a good ways away. So he's asking me, he's like, well, that's got to be a dude that's lost. And he thinks it's part of the guys that are with us, and the guys that are with us are like 90 degrees the other way on the LZ. Like they're either this dude is so hopelessly lost he's never finding his way back, or it's something else. So we had a discussion. He asked me what I thought it was. I said, I'm gonna go with Bigfoot. Ha ha, whatever. At this point, I'm a believer. I haven't seen anything. I'm definitely not a skeptic, because I've been reading about Bigfoot since I was a kid. Let's just say I'm open to it.
Right.
A couple years later, there's that Finding Bigfoot episode where the two guys got on their FLIR, the Bigfoot walking from behind one tree to the other tree. Have you seen that? I'm sure you've seen it.
Yep.
And they tried to get Bobo to redo it. And so I watched that video and I was like, that's exactly it. That's exactly the way that thing just, people move a certain way. They kind of bounce up and down. They're walking in the dark. They don't move with purpose. This thing just moved, right? Like a deer. Like when a deer takes off, it just goes, right? there's no hesitation, there's no uncertainty, there's no real thought. It's like, time to go, we're going. That, I saw that video and I was like, holy crap, that's what I saw. So at that point I was like, okay, so back then I saw a Bigfoot. Do I wish it was closer? Hell yeah. I'd have liked to have been where Billy was. But
yeah.
listening to him talk, like, that's all I saw, right?
Right.
And it's with me. So he's like, I wish I had never seen this thing, because I can't imagine what he said. It was like 30, 50 yards, something like that.
It was close.
Yeah, it was. That's close enough for me. And I know the human eye is so good at picking up color and shapes, and it's like, oh, the moon's pretty. You go out there and you snap it with your cell phone, and you look at it on your phone, and you're like, well, that's crap, because the moon looks great, because your eye picks up so much detail.
Right.
And it's like, I totally, like, hey, he's not a professional photographer. That was a rush job. Your phone is never going to catch as much detail as your eye, right? So it's always going to look a little crazy. I'm just going to roll straight into God. So
Yeah, man.
And this is like, God is good. God saves. One of my favorite scriptures is, because I was raised very religious. I'm named after two saints. I'm a horrible disappointment to my parents. So one of my favorite scriptures is from Romans. Don't ask me, because I can't ever remember it, but it's definitely when Jonathan and his armor bearer went over the way, and it's, God is not hindered by saving by the many or by the few. I don't know if you've read that. So June 18th, 2014, the wife and the girls are getting up to go teach vacation Bible school. I've got my honey-do list, because I don't know if I was in my master's yet. I was starting to get into my master's, but I was working part-time at Gold's Gym. And so I made a list, and one of the things was the beehive in the backyard had suddenly exploded into those pictures. So I hope you can crop them in when you get the video, so people can get an idea of how many bees there is.
Well, I can go ahead and I'll share a couple of pictures while you talk.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay.
So
let me see.
The birdhouse. Well, I'll wait till the picture shares. It's definitely sometimes sequences everything in life. So that's literally, so when we moved into the house in like 2013, that's the amount of beehive that I had. So that birdhouse is like 2 feet wide and about a foot, maybe 14 inches. I'm sorry, it's 2 feet long and about 14 inches wide. It's a good sized birdhouse. It was actually pulling down the whole fence. And it had like 3 honeycombs on the other side, if you can go to that picture.
I just took 2 off that list. I
Okay,
got one
off that list. So that's a good one. There's more on the other side. They've got 3 little honeycombs. That was clearly a European beehive at one point, because to fix my fence, I had to shore up that beehive and that birdhouse from dragging it down. And I literally was holding the beehive house with my hand with my dad, and they were coming out, they were smelling us, and they'd just go back in, or they'd land on us for a minute and go back. It was no big deal. If you can go to the big one, that was those pictures were taken like right before. So my wife's like, hey, the beehive is getting out of control. I don't feel safe with it. Call somebody to get out here. And I have no clue how many bees there are, but all those little bumps there are bees.
Yeah, man.
So you know, for a guy who wants his own homemade honey, I'm thinking this is great. Well,
Right.
it turns out this exponential growth of a hive was a killer beehive. So Chris has on his list, get up, mow the lawn, call the guy about the bees, and then do some other things. So I get up, I start mowing the lawn, and I get attacked by a couple bees. It's not uncommon. I'm around a hive that they sting, you know, you get stings. It happens. But it started becoming, you know, it wasn't like one or two and they fly off. It was pop, 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 pop. So I was like, okay, my dog's in the backyard. I'm mowing the lawn. I go in the house. I start dealing with the bees that are left on me. I look out the back window, and the whole hive, literally, and you can literally, it's like a cartoon. You know how they always show the cartoon of the bees chasing people, and there's that trail.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it was, and they're going after my dog, and they're so thick around the dog, you can see them buzzing and darting and stinging him, and I'm like, okay, well, I gotta go get my dog, but clearly the whole hive is pissed. So I go out the front door, and I will tell you, this is when the mind of the battle-hardened paratrooper kicks in, because only somebody of that background, I think, could come up with this most idiotic plan you've ever heard of. I opened the gate and I started calling for the dog. Of course, the backyard is buzzing, so I know they're attacking him. He probably can't hear him. So I walk a little deeper into the backyard because I'm still 10 foot tall and bulletproof in my mind.
Right.
I see the bees. They're just all over him. And they're literally, the cloud is across most of the backyard. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna run out to the dog who's a good ways into the backyard, grab him by his collar, and then we'll run out the gate on the other side. So that's what I do. And I'm literally running this gauntlet, getting stung. I get over to the dog, I grab him, just jerk him. This is my white German Shepherd. I sent you a picture of that. And I jerk him to the gate. We go hauling to the gate because he's figured it out. And then I realize that gate isn't open because I didn't think this fully through. So, you know, I'm 5'10", I think I was 215, 220 at that pound. I've lost like 10 pounds. I just jump up, kick the gate open, we go through it. The bees are still following us, okay? They're still stinging me. I'm running down the street, and this is where things start, you know, this is where God starts talking to me. Because as I start running, I start realizing, you know, I've got lung damage from Iraq and Afghanistan and the sand and the dirt and crap. And so now I'm starting to have some shortness of breath. Only it's not the normal shortness of breath I'm used to. It's oppressive. Still being stung. Me and the dog are still being stung. So as I'm running, I'm like, oh, this is bad. I got to get through this. The first thing that comes to my mind is, how old are you?
I'm 40.
Okay, so I'm a little bit older than you. Do you remember Ranger Rick, little magazine they used to have in school?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm running, and that's probably about how bad it sounded, only probably not as fast. And Ranger Rick, there's this picture, you know, it's clearly Ranger Rick and his little bubble talking about honeybees. And they're like, you know, he's like, did you know a honeybee can't fly in the rain because one drop of water makes him too heavy to fly? So now, because I'm thinking on the go, I'm like,
Right.
okay, I need to find a hose, right?
Oh, man.
I'm not gonna be able to keep going at this pace. I'm already starting to like a freight train kind of roll to a stop. You know, I'm starting to run out of gas, starting to get bad. And I'm literally running through people's yards, and it's almost a tenth. It's about just over a tenth of a mile from my house to the stop sign at the corner. So it's a good little ways. I'm more than halfway down the street before I find somebody who's got a garden hose, because it's summertime in Texas and you can only hand water.
Right.
So I go out there. At this point, I'm not quite at a zombie walk, but I'm pretty effing close. I pick up the hose and I spray it, and it's on like full jet turbo blast, like single shot. So I change it out to a, you know, how you can make it go out to a big circle.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I turn around to look at the bees, which is literally a cloud. It's this massive swarm of black and yellow, and it's like all I could hear since I left the house was buzzing. Yeah. I'm still being stung. So I start spraying at them as they're coming at me, and they're literally flying into the water and dropping like sheets. Like that's,
oh my gosh.
That is the moment I realized, like, this is a ton of bees, because as they were just dropping in sheets, they're still flying over me and stinging me. And I was, you know, holding my ground as I've been trained to do, hysterically, but eventually I got to a point where I'm starting to black out. Right. So it's like, okay, this isn't going good. I finally collapse on the ground, go for my cell phone, start trying to call 911. So I'm still running the sprayer, you know, holding the water, and I'm laying there in the grass. And as a paratrooper, I can tell you, I have a ton of respect for the honeybees, because these dudes were on a mission, right? They were so heavy they couldn't fly, but I'm looking at, I don't know, a couple hundred crawling through the grass at me still, you know, just unrelenting. It's like worse than the fire ants in South Georgia. It's just, it's ominous, because it's like, I'm impressed, but at the same time, this isn't going to end well. Like the world's strangest thoughts running through my mind. I'm still spraying, talking to 911. I'm gasping for air, like more so than I am now. And I'm giving them my address, and I'm telling them, hey, I'm not down there. I'm down the road, so don't go there. The bees are still there. I can still see them. And I'm laying there, and they're like, I can see that they're just kind of forming this cloud to just kind of just descend on me. And I'm at this point now where I'm kind of only intermittently squeezing the handle on the hose, because I'm just starting to black out. I'm going into tunnel vision. I'm seeing spots. And they're probably within about 12 inches on me. And since I hit the grass, I have not seen Titan, who's the name of my shepherd. And then he comes running and just jumps through that cloud, which that pisses him off. So they all go after him, and he runs off somewhere. I have no clue where he ran off to. So that happens, you know, one more time. I'm like, and then he comes and he runs through them, and they go off. And I'm still, you know, I'm getting the stragglers, but that big giant cloud of them it never landed on me.
Yeah.
But now I'm at this point, I'm gasping for air. I finally got to a point where I guess I had enough contraction that I could just hold the hose on over me. And I remember looking down at my tennis shoes, and I was like, I did not see that coming. Like, it was just this surreal, like, this is it. I'm going to die right here in this lawn. my stranger's lawn,
Right.
and out of all the stuff in my life, tennis shoes, not combat boots, not on a jump, not in Iraq, not in Afghanistan, tennis shoes in some neighbor's lawn in my neighborhood.
Right.
And it's literally completely black. I'm only seeing little points of light. I can only really cure my my erratic breathing. Memories are starting to go by. Most of them are pretty recent. And I'm like, I remember thinking like, okay, this is it. And just a super quiet voice in my head that was like, I've got you. And in that instant, I went from this is that I'm going to die to suddenly I knew I was going to survive.
Wow.
The firehouse is like a mile from my house. As soon as they rolled with the lights on, like, whoop, like I heard, like they're coming. A lady across the street comes out and she's like, I see the ambulance. I'll direct them to you, because she realizes what's going on at this point. The ambulance shows up, and so my little black pinpoints, flashes of light have started to re-expand. The ambulance pulls up, the EMT gets out, and I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, God and the devil are in the details.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I'm a firm believer there are no coincidences. Everything happens for a purpose and a reason. And the guy gets out. He's this little 5'7" Hispanic dude. He's on it. He's great. But he looks at me and he's got this look on his face like, oh crap. Like, today's the day they told me about. One day you're going to have to try and rescue somebody who's bigger than you. So he comes over and he's like, because I'm talking, right? He's like, sir, are you okay? And I'm like at this point, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be okay. He's like, can you help me get you up? Because he's got the stretcher out. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm affecting my own rescue or helping. So he gets me up, he gets me onto the stretcher. He struggles a little bit to get me in the stretcher, like into the truck. He gets me into the truck. There's another guy sitting in there. He's got a polo shirt. He's got his own bag, and he's just kind of looking. The EMT starts getting on the radio, talking to dispatch. He's like, yeah, how old are you, sir? Whatever. And I'm like, if you could get me some oxygen, I'll be okay. I can answer your questions. The look of these two guys' face is like your dog when you start talking to your dog and they're like, and so the dispatch is asking him, like, how many times has he been stung? The nearest hospital is like 2 miles, 3 miles from me, because I live in the medical center of San Antonio, which I guess if you're going to get attacked by killer bees, that's probably the best place.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, so no coincidences. They're asking him, the EMT, hey, how many times has he been stung? He's like, I don't know, I'm counting. And then I hear him say, is it more than 50? And he's like, oh yeah, it's more than 50. And I can see all the little stingers in my arms. And the guy who was sitting inside the bus goes, hey, I'm Dr. So-and-so. We're going to go ahead and push norepinephrine. Yeah, you caught it, right?
Yeah.
So he hits me with a full shot of norepinephrine. Okay. So now I'm starting to feel like, all right, I'm on 100% oxygen. Like that dude, like, till it stopped. He closes the door, tells the guy to roll with the lights on. They turn the lights on, and we're on our way. It's a short drive in my car with no lights on.
Right.
Okay. So you can imagine it's a lot shorter with the lights on. We're
Right.
not stopping. He's barely rolling to a stop. He's not stopping at lights. He's just rolling. The doctor's looking at me. He's checking my vitals. He's asking me questions. Sir, where do you live? I'm answering all these questions. It's not a problem. Because at this point, I know. Still got the oxygen mask on. The doc goes, let's go ahead and give him another full shot of norepinephrine. So now I've had the second one in like 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes. A few minutes later, we roll into University Health Center, and they get me out. They roll me through the doors, and they're talking, and they're like, take him to Trauma Bay 1, which at the time I didn't know what it was. A couple of my PA friends had to tell me because they took me all the way through. I'm used to the beds in the ER. They took me all the way to the back of the ER into this little room. And in this room, they have like everything, x-rays, everything they need is in this room. And they're all waiting at the door. The whole little team is there waiting at the door. And as soon as I come around the corner and they push me in and they turn around and get a look at me, you can just tell they're like, like, he's not gonna, I just cussed. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to bleep that out. Sorry. But it was like all the wind went out of them, and they just look like they're not gonna make it. Like they were telling me, like, you're not gonna make it. They've still got me on oxygen. My EMT's talking like, hey, he's got this, he's responsive, blah, blah, blah. And I take my mask off and I was like, I'm gonna be fine, but we need to get started. So they start getting to work. The firemen have followed, and they've told me where they've taken the dog. They've given the vet center my phone number that they got, I guess they got from 911. The doctors are trying to pull all these stingers out with like 4-inch medical tape, which all it really did was manscape me. I'm not quite Sasquatch, but I can be fuzzy.
Right.
And they're just ripping all my arm hair out. And I can, like, they're doing great. They've taken all my arm hair out, but left probably 75% of the bee stings. And they just keep doing it. And I'm like, ow, ow. And I'm like, it looked just right at my feet, and standing against the back wall is this kid who's in Navy camis. And so I recognized him immediately. I'm like, well, he's obviously a corpsman. Why the F is he standing here? And I'm like, hey, I don't mean to tell y'all how to do your job, but I'm pretty sure you're supposed to use like a sharp credit card or something to like scrape those out, because the tape doesn't really seem to be working. I know they know this.
Right.
But it was like the first time they ever heard it. So they start using, this is literally the response from the lead doctor. Does anybody have a credit card or a sharp, flat, whatever? They're all wearing credit cards. They hit like name, ID card. They're all pinned to them. And I'm like, really? The Navy corpsman pulls out of his pocket his military ID. So he's like, they're using his military ID to like scrape these things out of my arms and off my neck and my chest and my face. And at that point, the rest of them get tongue depressors. And you can see their spirits are starting to pick up. And my phone rings. It's the vet. So I start talking to him. Understand, the first thing I did when they rolled in was give me another shot of norepinephrine. So I've now had 3 in like 20 minutes. You don't know me, but he'd be a very aggressive person. I've been known to have a temper.
Yeah.
So I'm on my phone. I take the call and they're like, sir, could you get off your phone? And I'm like, no, taking care of my dog. I guess nobody in this situation has ever talked to them that way because they're like, yes, sir. So I'm talking to the vet. And the vet's like, this is what we can do for your dog. He appears to have been stung a lot. Oh yeah, I brought this. I don't know if you can see that. Is that coming through?
Oh yeah.
That's one of the remnants they pulled off my dog. I think I could
Wow.
probably take a good picture of that. Somehow, somebody notified my wife. I'm still sitting in the ER. They're still pulling all these things off of me. My wife shows up. Like they escort her and my kids in, and just the look on her face is like, oh my God, this is it. Which you can't blame her because where I'm at. But at this point, all the doctors, the Navy corpsman that's there training, is like, ma'am, he's gonna be fine, right? She's still in disbelief, and I'm like, sure, babe, I'm gonna be fine. At this point, the phone rings again, and I go back to talking to the vet. They make a decision like, okay, we've gotten as many of these things out of him as we can. We've got him hooked up to IVs. We're going to wheel him out of the hall. And there I kind of stay in the hall for a while. Naval Corpsman comes out and talks to me. And he's talking to me and he's like, I don't know why I'm here today. I just finished training at the base here in San Antonio. They're gonna assign me somewhere. I'm like, dude, you're a Naval Corpsman. They're gonna assign you to a bunch of hard charters, a bunch of devil dogs. And I'm like, I don't know if this is why you were here, but the next time you see a bunch of people freeze up and you've got some cognitive thought, even if you're not in charge, take charge. Because God put you in that position to take charge for a minute. So just take charge. I was like, everybody else will fall in and assume their leadership roles after that. But sometimes just getting people moving is like, that's the important part.
Yep.
So they wheel me into one of the rooms. I'm still fielding calls from the dog. Dog's not doing good. He's 80 pounds. I was 220 at the time. And my wife said, I looked like I had put back on, this is how swollen I was, all the weight that I had lost. So to her, it looked like I had put on 10 to 15 pounds since she saw me that morning. And she was like, you were as red as a tomato. And they put me in this room. We sit there. I wait. I don't wait well. I definitely don't wait well when I can't get any information. So finally, I buzz the nurse. The nurse comes in and she's like, well, the doctor's going to be by to take care of you, to talk to you. Have they talked to you yet? No. So I wait another 45 minutes and then I start popping leads, right? Because I got to go deal with the dog and I know the vet's coming. So as soon as I start popping leads, alarms go off, somebody shows up. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm leaving. They're like, you can't leave until the doctor shows up. Keep in mind, during this like 4 or 5 hours, I've filled out all my paperwork. I've done everything I need to do. And I'm like, I don't think you can stop me. And she's like, just lay back down. Let me get the doctor. And 15 minutes later, the doctor comes in and she's like, sir, we want to keep you overnight. For what? And she's like, well, your heart rate's really elevated and hadn't come back down, so we're concerned about you. I'm like, you've given me 3 shots of norepinephrine today. I'm already, on top of that, you've now made me wait for 4 hours. So if the fake adrenaline didn't get me jacked up, your treatment of me has really just pushed me over the top. I'm like seething. And I'm like, what the frick are you concerned about? Well, you could go into respiratory response or blah, blah, blah. It could be bad. You could fail. I'm like, hey, look, if I have any more trouble breathing, I'll come back. I'm leaving. So she was like, "Oh, you're serious? I'm leaving. I have to go deal with my dog." My wife has already contacted really good friend of the family, calling my little brother. He's a surgical PA for the Army at the time. And we get out of there, we go see the dog, and he shows up, and he's talking to me, and I'm recounting everything because I'm angry. I don't know if it's the drugs. I don't know I don't know if it's just God's like, hey, we're going to turn him to 11 and just leave him there till he burns through all this crap. And I'm talking to my brother-in-law, and I think at the time he was like a svelte 165, still active duty, still doing his PT. And he's asking me, he was like, what did they give you? How much did they give you? How many times did you get stung? And I'm telling him like as best I know, because I haven't counted bee stings yet. The wife and I haven't done that. And I'm like, I don't know. They give me like 3 full hits. I said, they gave me 4 epinephrine. He was like, do you know how much? I said, well, every time they said it, they said, give me a full dose. Like a full. And he's like, I can see his medical brain turning.
Right.
And he's like, okay, wait, you said 3? It's like, yeah, 3. And he's like, how fast? I was like, I don't know, dude. It was like 30, maybe 30 minutes, like 1 every 10 minutes, maybe. And he's like, that alone could have killed you. Right? He's like, the cure might have. He's like, I don't know how you're here. So this is the first time that I was like, so that was really the voice of God. I'm really part of something that's bigger for some whatever reason.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, amen. Because I'm still here to tell that story, and I hope somebody out there who needs to know that God can save you will. Like literally, He will. I hope you don't have to do it that way, whoever you are. If you can find another way, that'd be great. This experience was draining. So we got back to the house. The dog's still under care. The wife and I counted 150 stings. Like that's what we could find and count. That's how many times I'd been stung.
Wow.
Through my head, through my ears. I was super swollen. Taking Benadryl, and what most people don't know about bee venom is, as soon as it comes in contact with the cell, it basically just makes it explode. So when the bee venom hits your bloodstream, it just starts popping red blood cells, which is why you get short of breath. We had gone to see the dog, and Titan was at a spot where, he was saying he wanted to go out and go to the bathroom, whining. At that point, he was 85 pounds. And they were doing all kinds of care. So I picked him up, I took him outside, told him he was a good boy. They were still picking bees out of his fur when I left him. And that was, I guess that was his warrior song to the next land. Like,
Man.
I gotta stay alive long enough to know he made it, because she was like, he saw you, you took him out, you petted him, you put him back in the cage, we went back to working on him, and she was like, we did everything we could, and he was just gone. So
I'm sorry.
I think that was the hardest part of that. Yeah. So
I'm so sorry. Hey, that's rough. He came to your rescue though, buddy.
Yeah, he did. It was, I tell people I have 2 German Shepherds now, like, y'all got some big paws to fill.
Yeah, man.
And I tell them every day before I leave, I'm like, if something happens to the girls and you're here and you're still alive, you won't be when I'm done, because you got one job: protect the pack.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds harsh, but They do a great job of that.
Yes.
So that's it. That did not, like, the voice of God was just, I felt like when I heard Billy say he went from not believing to knowing, right? Like he skipped over belief,
Yeah.
right? He went from y'all are crazy to holy crap, I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yep.
And that's kind of the thing that I remember. Like I went from this is it, and I'm gonna die in some strange person's lawn with my tennis shoes on, and to I just knew. Everybody else, you could tell by their response, was, is this dude delirious? Is he crazy? What's he talking about? And I don't know who all needed that miracle in their life during that time. I don't know if that was all, worked together for good, so that kid could get a little piece of information that maybe he took to the battlefield or something. I never seen him again. I don't know, and it doesn't really matter. But talking to my little brother in the days following, Seth's like, 50 usually does people in. He was like, that's why the dispatcher always wants to know, like, is it 50 or more or 50 or less? He goes, because the last 3 people that have died in San Antonio, like, were less than 50. He was like, you got 3 times that amount and you're still walking around. I was like, well, guess he's not done with me yet?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You're still here, buddy. Man.
Yeah. So, I always remember that scripture, it's God's not hindered by saving by the many or by the few. And if I hadn't have gone back for the dog, I'd be dead. Because sooner or later I would have had to go back to the backyard, and it's not like, I wish I'd have gotten pictures after the firemen went in there, and like they ripped the fence down, they ripped the birdhouse down, broke the hive open and spread it with the stuff. And they were like, when I went to go talk to them, they were telling me the bees were so thick that they were crawling up and under their gear to get inside to sting them. And guys like, hey, we've responded to out of control bees before, but he was like, I've never seen anything like this. And he's like, and you've never had any problem with them? And I'm like, that birdhouse is sitting on, it's 16 feet in the air.
Right.
Right. That's because it's sitting on 2 8-foot 4x4s. No, 2 7-foot 4x4s. So 14 feet ish. And until that day, I always tell my kids, I'm like, you can live the most righteous life that you can, but understand the devil gets to play too. Like he's gonna try it. Like, you guys were off at vacation Bible school. I was here alone. He's like, okay, I'm gonna make a play to break this family. Like, we hadn't already been through enough, but
yeah, for sure. Yeah, he gets you where you can.
Yeah, it was a good ambush. So, you got any questions? I mean, that's kind of the story.
Of one, I love the story and I appreciate you sharing it. I love it when people get that, that direct message like that from God.
Yeah.
I had a guy on, I can't remember which episode it was now. It might have been, I think I might have titled it like out of body experiences, OBEs and near death experiences, OBEs and NDEs, I think is what I named it. And he had an experience where he heard the voice of God, and it was a simple message. It was, I think what he heard was get a hold of yourself, because he was, he was going through this big, this big crazy, I don't even know what to call it, vision, basically. He was out, like his mind was out of control. He was seeing things, but it was all like a vision he was supposed to be having, but he was getting scared, freaking out. And he said he heard the voice of God.
I listened to that one.
Yeah. And
And it's just something that with your story too, I got you. Just saying, those 3 simple words and your whole everything changed for you. You knew it was okay. I
So
just love the simplicity of it,
yeah, it was, but it's a double meaning, right? Like, this is what came to me later. That was a double meaning, right? If he just said, "Hey, dude, today's the day,"
Right.
he got me, right? I got you. Whether
Yep.
in my case, I knew suddenly I was going to be back, or I was going to survive, but it could have gone the other way too.
Yeah.
And if it had gone the other way too, then I don't think it gets much better than that, right? Like,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Sweet.
I was not saying sweet at the time, trust me, because I was on fire.
Yeah. I don't mean to make light of it, man. I'm just glad
No,
you're okay.
it's, as I tell everybody who's ever served or when civilians interact with us, I'm like, hey, when you hear us joking, and I'm like, it's only funny because we survived. We could joke about it now because what the hell else are you going to do with it, right? You can drag it with you forever.
Yeah, sense of humor is a little off. I'm sorry, but
don't feel bad. You're not alone.
all right. Oh man, that's a great story. And if we can go back to your Bigfoot experience on the FLIR,
sure.
If he looked your size, did he look your size 1,200 meters away, or did he look?
Yes. So
Yeah.
I know, like, I've looked at like the average soldier, not my width, but about my height. So I know, like, when you're setting out target reference points, hey, we set that one out at 1,200. I know what I look like. I've looked at enough FLIR at enough distance. When you start zooming in, and the stuff that we were using, because that was the core, wasn't as nice as the stuff that when I was down in the 82nd.
Right.
So it was good, but it wasn't as good as the stuff I was used to on my toe system. That was really good. So even zoomed in, I'm like, well, that looks like me standing there, or it's somebody approximately my size sitting there. And then when he said, I want to say it was like 1,200 meters and change, and I'm like, that's a big boy.
Yeah.
But what got me was the steps. Well, first, what got me was elbow to hand length was off. Right? Just that was his arm was moving, elbow to hand length was off. When it took a step, its legs didn't move like people's legs, if that makes sense. So, like, the thing that I always remember is when that thing took that step in the Finding Bigfoot FLIR video, right? When you look at its legs are almost at 2 perfect 90-degree angles, right? The back leg is bent at almost 90, and the front leg is stepping out at almost 90.
Yep.
People don't get that close. We don't get that. I mean, we kind of kick our front leg out to take a big step. It's kind of more straight. It's not bent.
Right.
And just the grace, and I want to call it grace. The fluidity of movement. It just moved. It just moved.
Yeah. Yeah, they seem to glide. They have they don't have the gait we have where we kind of bounce around. They just kind of
we kind of wobble.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just
level head, good marching.
So that was the first. Like, I was like, I don't know what that is, but that's not a person. And I've spent enough time in the woods, probably not as much as you, because it looks like you could just drive up the road and you're in the woods, like deep.
Yeah.
But I mean, I spent a lot of time out at Fort Bragg, and like up until this year, I've lived at Fort Bragg longer than I've lived anywhere else, because I lived there as a kid and then I came back as an adult.
Wow.
you know, it's just like when I would watch Finding Bigfoot. You know, sometimes they play recordings, and I'm like, I'll sit there with my wife. I'm like, that's a wolf, that's a coyote, that's a this. And every now and again they'll play one, and I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Right.
Like, oh, that's an owl. But I'm like, every now and again, I'm like, I don't know what that was. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. I've heard, and I don't know what that is, 3 times here at home.
Oh, here at the house. Wow.
Well, in West Virginia, in my county.
Yeah. In your county.
Yeah. And there's no explaining it. And, you know, the freakiest thing I've ever heard, I've heard a bobcat. You know, I ran a wildlife exhibit for the state at one point.
Oh,
for
wow.
about 4. And I got real familiar with bears and bobcats and owls and all that stuff. You know, foxes. Foxes make the craziest noises I've ever heard. But
yeah, they sound like cats on steroids, like something between a cat and a dog. At least the ones in Afghanistan did.
yeah, and a wild boar, they sound like literal demons. You know, if I would hear a wild boar going off at night, which I did when I went to the lake between the land between the lakes out in the Kentucky-Tennessee border, we heard a wild boar across the lake, and it'll give you chills, you know. And
Oh yeah.
as somebody that don't know what it is, you would think, oh man, it's a Sasquatch, or it's a dog man, or it's some kind of demonic beast out there to get me. But yeah, 3 times I've heard things that I just cannot identify. And one of them sounded just like that Ohio howl. I'm sure you've heard
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
It's almost like a siren or something, you know, and it
Yeah. The
out, yep,
Yeah.
out in the middle of the booger woods, man. It sounded like it was a ridge away from me. And I just thought, you just stay over there. You know,
Are you born? You're like, I don't have a problem with you. Are you born and raised in West Virginia?
oh yeah.
Okay. Why do they call it the wood booger?
Well, I don't know. Like when I was a kid, my grandmother called it the boogeyman. You know,
Yeah.
it was like
I've heard that.
a red-eyed boogeyman. You know, don't go out at night, the boogeyman's going to get you. I don't know why they call it that, man. And then you go down in like Kentucky, you go into Kentucky and stuff, it's wood booger.
Yeah, it's wood booger.
Yeah, I don't know.
It seems like it's a term that's kind of Appalachian area.
Yeah, I think it is. And if you go down into the deep woods, you know, you can call it deep woods, or you can call it, you know, BFE, or you can call it the booger woods. You know, that's just like, that's our way of saying, you're in the middle of nowhere. So it's his woods, I guess. You know, I don't know where it comes from.
Well, he's, you know, did you watch Discovering Bigfoot with Todd Standish? They put that on Netflix.
I have. I've watched it like 3 times.
So, okay, I'm glad I'm not alone. The thing that, because I love watching the FLIR and the night vision video. Where was it going with this? I love how he just says, you know, as good as we are with technology in our little world, they're just as good living in their world.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you gotta think, if you're walking around the woods naked, like you got brambles, you got wait a minute vines, you got all that crap, and they always seem to have hooks and thorns on them.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. I don't want my favorite body part that close to anything that's gonna rip or tear. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta walk with some grace for sure.
See, and you gotta have some pain tolerance, I would think.
Yeah,
Or
thick
some
skin.
super thick skin, something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, hey, how you liking your pack?
Man, I absolutely love it. You know, right now
You
I'm
love
going
that
to
rock ape.
I do. That rock ape, it's loaded out right now. It's out in my garage. And before me and you got on the phone here or on the video, I was doing a little shared screen of your site. I couldn't help myself. I had to just go ahead and try to show people real quick. I'm going to do that in the intro video of it.
Oh, cool. I can't wait. Thank you.
If you can't,
And
If you
thank you
don't
for your
mind-
audience, and thank you for the time. I don't mind at all.
I got it up right here. I love this right here. Is that we have the gear you need to survive the worst day of your life, and that is so true. I was explaining to people like this Rock 8 pack. I've had the LL Bean Continental rucksack. I had the Camelback Mother Load. I've had a lot of good bags. I had one that was custom built for me that I set them all to the side, man. This pack, this Rock Ape, it holds everything I need for whatever situation. I like to do a lot of bushcraft camping. I'm
Yeah.
really into the primitive survival stuff, but I'll take a modern pack like this and just put what I need in it, and it holds everything. My hammock, my underquilt can go in there. Any kind of cookware I might need or whatever. It's perfect for that. But if I wanted to have that as just a go bag for my trunk, I could load that down with everything I need for 72 hours and sleep like a baby, because I know that I'm taken care of. It'll hold
Yeah.
anything I want. For me, it's the perfect size. I'm a wider frame person. I'm 6'2", 250. But
Yeah.
I put
You're
this on my
definitely a double XL shirt.
Oh yeah, for sure. I put it on my niece. She's 6 years old, and it balanced.
I saw that picture.
Yeah, it balanced on her back, and she was, she's walking around with it. And I had about 15 pounds in the bag at the time, and I just thought he nailed it. It's perfect.
I had a ton of help because the production team, they've been when we hooked up with them. I guess we started working together in 2011. He'd already been making packs for 30 plus years. And so we would talk, and he would talk with my other partner at the time. God rest that business. It burned and died. But I got the production house in the divorce, or the bonfire or whatever. That was the only thing I could save. And so all these packs are what was saved from that dumpster fire, and that relationship specifically. But he would we would just talk, and it was like he was for the first time in his life, when he made a suggestion, he was like, well, yeah, we could use that material, but it's shit. Use this. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
You can do it that way, but this way was probably better. And so that little collaboration, or that retooling of some things with the supplies and the materials that he knew how to get, every crazy idea that I came up with, he could make happen. And then a lot of times he could take what was in my head and turn it into that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you could use that, or you could use this. And he'd had a few military contracts. So he had all these relationships. He'd been doing packs forever. So materials, supplies, like he knew where to go and get it all.
Perfect.
And so, the big question was, when the first business was just totally dying and I was doing everything I could to save it. I don't want to speak ill of my other partner. I think he had the best intentions in the world, but follow through was not.
Yeah.
Just wasn't. Yeah. So I had to pay off a pretty big debt. And one of the agreements that we came to was he wanted to incorporate the designs that we were using into stuff that he was pitching on his military contracts. And he was like, my business needs it. And I think we can take these designs and really win these contracts. And so that's what he did. And God bless him for it, because it's allowed me to take, this is the I don't know if you can see it. That's
Oh, yeah.
the big one where the video cut off. That's the Alpha Squatch.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be the name if we make it civilian. I don't know, because it's huge. It's got like 100 cubic inches of storage in it. Yeah, I saw your eyes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, to give you an example, the main compartment of the Yowie, which is literally this pack but sized down a little bit. This has a detachable lid that you can wear as an assault pack. Put some food, some ammo, some water, things like that. That's all that's in it. And if you're going to camp in one spot and go hunt another, might be really nice because you could just take that one to the blind.
Yep.
But we haven't civilianized that one like we did the rock ape, and we haven't civilianized. We just haven't, because it's so big, right? The Yowie, that pack, which was sold to the military under a different name, but that pack it's huge. And so when we first started, I got some, hey, could you do this in black? Could we do this in coyote? And I was like, what civilian's gonna buy this? Army dudes, like, they'll buy it. They'll buy it in OCP. They'll buy it in whatever color they can get it in, because they're like, this is so much better than my Molly ruck, my large Molly. This is so much better than my Alice. But elk hunters, that one blew me away. Elk hunters walk up, and the guys who go hunt big mule deer and moose, they walk up, and I know who they are whenever I'm at a show, because they walk up, they take it down, and they just start going through it. Right, they unzip all the pockets, they look at it, they flip it around, they squeeze the pads, they put it on, and I'm like, okay. And I know the next question is going to be, do you take card or are you only cash?
Right.
Because those guys never, like, yeah, I take card. He's like, okay, how much are we putting on it today? And I'm like, well, depends on the color, whatever, and that's it. Then I occasionally, if I'm lucky, I'll get a tag or just a random, hey, look at the moose I killed. And in the background, kind of, in the bottom right corner, you might catch a piece of my ruck.
Right.
Like, okay, well, hey, as long as it's out there being used, it means people are looking at it. And, I remember you said you had a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Dude, for me, I've got bulging discs in my neck. I've got compressed discs in my back from jumping and rucking and running. And when I was at Bragg, and the nice thing about Bragg is just right outside base, there's always somebody who will sew something onto your ruck, even if your battalion commander doesn't like it. So I started tinkering with my ruck, and I've got it in my feed the day I retired it, the day it was like so far gone I can't do anything with it anymore. The color's bleached out, it's faded. All the different pad sets that I tried, because it had like a Marine Corps pad set on it. It had a down east modular frame, and you could literally just look at it and go, oh, okay, I see how we got there. Like, you see how we got to these guys. Not the little guys, but definitely the big ones. And then the production team up there really just took those military production deals and turned them into something like, hey, let's do a red and black one for the fire department or for firefighters, like, so they can load up the bag and it's red, like, and you go to, okay, I got to get the right go bag because I'm going to work. I just grab the red and black one.
Yep.
And like you said, the rock ape is perfect for that. Your niece, I would definitely, like, she could probably do a Cockamora without much trouble.
Yeah.
And
Look,
easily get. Say again.
Yeah, looking at the size of the Cockamora, it looks like it'll fit a smaller framed person. I think all of them will probably fit just about any size person for whatever they want to carry. You know what I mean? But I could see how that would be more manageable on a smaller body
than say the
Well,
alley. You know?
Well, so the hardest thing I have to tell people is like, guys, your size, we need more space. Our clothes take up more space,
Right.
right? So, I mean, people don't think about it. Like, I can roll something up, but my jeans still roll up to be that big,
Right.
you know, or my pants or whatever else. And if I stick it in there, that's that much space. It's
Yep.
just gone. One of our brand reps, you might have seen her. She's really just teeny tiny. She's like 4'11", 5 foot. She could basically put 5 or 6 days worth of clothes in a rock ape
Right.
and have plenty of space because her pants roll up to like the size of my socks. So that's stuff people don't think about. That's, you know, when we're talking to them, I'm not really concerned with selling you. I want people to have the experience that you had, right? So they come up and they're like, you know, I always ask them, what do you want to do with it? What's your budget? Right? Because everybody's on a budget.
Yep.
I mean, Jeff Bezos, one of the richest guys in the world, still has a budget.
Yep.
It's not like my budget. It's not like your budget, but it's a budget. But what you want to do with it, right? Because I wouldn't recommend the rock ape to somebody that's like, yeah, I'm looking for an everyday carry bag. I can throw some stuff in and take it to work in case I gotta, you know, leave work.
Right.
They've been like, yeah, that's a 26-liter pack for most full-size adults.
Yep.
Get your laptop in it, get some backup battery stuff, wires, maybe a jacket, some food, ammo, pistol, depending on, you know, what you got.
Yep.
Yeah, it's my passion. I got so tired of, you know, wearing rucks that just, you probably notice when you go wear that and you go hike in the woods, it doesn't break you down like wearing your other packs.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
It sits up so much higher for me. And yeah, I got my straps the way I want them. So I
Yeah.
like it up, you know, but
and that's, you know, that's the other thing that's important is being able to actually adjust that frame to your body.
yes. In
And
several
then
ways.
actually having real padding in your straps, because the little 1/4 inch Chinese open cell foam, I hate that.
Yeah, they don't do anything. It just looks
Yeah,
good.
it's
It don't
dead.
do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, you've nailed it with these.
I liked your comment. Thanks. I loved your, you know, it'll survive an explosion. It won't. That's false advertising, but I get the sentiment.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they're this close to bomb proof. That close.
I'm working on it. They got backpack body armor now, so we're, you know, I tell people if you want to put a 10 by 12 plate in one of the external pockets, I mean, you could do that in yours in the main outside pocket. You could put a 10 by 12, and if somebody walked up behind you or shot you in the back, you're good to go.
Yep. Yeah, I need to look into that actually because I've been looking into getting some plates. Just if the government doesn't want me to have it, I want to have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so body armor is legal. It's legal in all 50 states. The reason why most of these companies want your driver's license is because it's illegal for you to commit a crime with them. Right. So yeah, I mean, that's common sense. There's the whole shootout in LA. You're probably old enough to remember that. The movie Heat was based off of it. Those guys wore body armor, robbed a bank. That's what that's for. So I got a plate, it's level 3 rated, so 12 gauge shotgun slug all the way down to 22 and knife that weighs a pound from a company in North Carolina. So that's the other thing, right? I try and do as many American made things as I can.
Yeah.
Just because I've fought in so many wars and I've been so many places, and now I'm going into business for myself, and I want to put Americans to work. Doesn't mean that there aren't some great overseas products out there. There are.
Right.
But Premier Body Armor, I like them because they're They're from North Carolina, and I kept shooting that stupid thing, and it never quit. I put several rounds into it. My buddy put several rounds into it. Other people on the range that day, because we were shooting the backpack, they put rounds into it. The range officer pulled out his 357 and he put a round into it because, you know, he wanted to have fun too. So, uh-oh, it's fixing to get noisy in my house. Kids are coming home.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I do this. Everyone's like, why are you wearing that earpiece when you make a video? There's 6 people in this house and 2 dogs. Everybody makes noise.
Yep, that's how it is here. I had to have them turn the TV down in the living room. I'm in my office. It's a big office, but there's no door on it. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm 50 feet probably, or about 40 feet from the living room, but you can still hear the TV in there. So I'm working on it. We just moved here a year ago. So.
Well, I'm jealous of your little office space there because this is the kitchen.
Is it?
That's where I shoot most of my videos.
Hey, that's all right. It works, don't it?
It does. So I got the coyote rocket behind me.
I love that.
Dude, I love hearing stories about, you know, what the ruck does for you, how it works for you, how it works. I love feedback too. We've made 2 pretty good sized runs of Kakamuras, and we're already talking about the upgrades we're going to do on the next version.
Good deal.
So it's always about improvement for us. I get a lot of like, hey, why would you offer a lifetime warranty? And I'm like, well, because if you break it, right? If you found a way to break it, I want to know how you broke it, because I want to engineer that failure out. It shouldn't break.
Yeah.
I've really been blessed in my life to survive. Like, I've had a ton of close calls just since starting from birth through to the bee incident. Been pretty tame since the bee incident, but it kind of pegged my meter. Careful with the table. So that's part of where that comes from, you know, the gear that'll help you survive the worst day of your life. Because I've had, mostly in Iraq and Afghanistan, I'd have to come all the way back to base and start like, oh crap, that could have been it. Like in the moment, I never thought about it, but you know, in retrospect, I'm like, oh, that could have been it. So that's kind of where that comes from. I want everybody to have that chance to survive, you know?
Something that won't fail them when they need it.
Absolutely.
I love your gear. I love your gear,
Thank
Chris. I love having you on here, man. Thank you for sharing your story with me.
It's been a pleasure.
I'll let you get off here.
Did you get all your questions answered? I felt like I did all the talking.
Hey, no, that's how I like to do it, man. I like for you to do the talking.
Okay.
You are great at relaying your story. You left me without questions. You filled any kind of hole while you were going. It was just
what?
You know what you're doing.
Yeah, well, I've told that story a few times. It's come up at quite a few gun shows.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I mean, if I'm talking, like, I view it this way, that if I'm talking about it, then, you know, maybe God needs somebody to hear that, to give them hope or to give them like whatever. So I don't mind telling it, you know. It's important that, but by the grace of God, I'm here.
That's right. And I'm so glad you don't hold back. You know, God is real and everybody needs him. And I might have lost some listeners for that. I've been saying that a lot lately, and my listeners have dropped by a third in the last 3 weeks. I don't know if I got deplatformed I've stayed very, non-political or anything like that, non-conspiratorial. But for the last 3 weeks, my listeners have dropped by a full third. And I don't know if it's people that don't want to, that don't want to hear me talk about God, or if they don't
you know, if I don't have enough Bigfoot material for them or what, but whatever it is, I'm just going to keep doing whatever comes natural. I like having people on that want to tell a true story. And,
Yeah.
you know, the listeners, they'll
I-
come back. You know, whatever it is, they'll come back.
So, kind of in that God thing, and this pertains more to my wife. I think we're in the second year of running under Squatch Survival Gear, because we're basically starting from scratch with like no money.
Right. Yeah.
And I was super frustrated, like so frustrated. The revenue wasn't being generated. We weren't making any progress. We weren't whatever. And we were upstairs. We were talking in the bathroom. We were getting ready to do something. My wife was sitting on the, you know how couples talk. She's sitting on the closed toilet. I'm doing whatever. We're talking in the bathroom because
Yep.
I got 4 kids ranging from 20 to 7. So sometimes that's the only place we can hear ourselves talk.
Right.
So, you know, she's sitting there. I'm doing whatever. I think I was sitting on the floor, and I was like, "This isn't gonna work, babe. This is it. I'm like, I'm so frustrated. I'm just ready to quit. It's got to generate some more money. If it's not generating any more money and it doesn't start doing it, like right now, it's dead. It's gonna die. It's not
Yeah.
snowballing."
Yep.
And I mean, I was ready to just throw in the towel right then, because the hole that we were digging ourselves out of was just like you couldn't see the daylight. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And she's sitting there and she's like, "I feel like God is telling me don't quit. Go one more month." And earlier in our marriage, I didn't listen to that wise counsel from my wife. And so I highly recommend that, dudes. If you've got a
Yes.
wife and she gives you wise counsel, listen. It will make
Yes.
your marriage better. Will probably make your whole life better. And so I remember I told her, I said, "Okay." And literally the next month, it was like the snowball crested the hill.
Yeah.
And so that year, we made it through with like 10K revenue.
Nice.
And then the next year, we crossed 100K in revenue.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
So
fantastic.
yeah, that's not military contracts. That's just little itty bitty Squatch selling stuff that we're pushing to the civilian world. And
Man,
that's across all of our products. It's not just those, it's every product we carry, you know, Byrna, Red Rock, United States Tactical, now Tough Hooks. And so I was just like, "Hey God, that's great. I guess we'll set a new goal," because I'd been writing for like 3 years. You know, we can do 100K, because to me 100K is like, you're gonna make it. You know what I mean? It's like it's like the life. It's like that mark. Like we're gonna make it.
Yep.
And just people started reaching out with production deals at the end of last year, and so we've hit like 31K in revenue generation. That's not profit, but I mean it's like 31K, and like we're 3 weeks into January.
Yeah.
So thank you God for that.
You've made it, man. You're doing it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, so the reason I was saying that is because, you know, you were talking about, well, maybe people are unfollowing me or whatever. And I'm like, keep going down the road like that he's got you on.
Yeah.
You may be the guy that convinces people, you know, God and Bigfoot live in the same building, right? And for all you Christians that don't believe in Bigfoot, I want you to go to the book of Genesis and I want you to read the description of Esau. And Bo, if you haven't done that in a while, you should do it.
Yes, thank you. I have brought that up before to people, and they're like, I was like, just read it. Just read it.
Because I'm like, hair covered his entire body. It was a reddish brown. To trick a blind man, they had to put a goat over Jacob.
Yes.
A goat skin. And I'm like, that's hairy.
Yeah.
That's hair. So I'm like,
yeah, and it's got the smell and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't really, like, to me, that when I read that, I'm kind of like, how could you not believe that this is probably also a thing created by my creator?
Exactly.
Like everything else. Like, how many other weird animals are walking the planet? Like a giraffe.
Right.
Like it's like a horse, but with a really long neck and really long legs.
Yeah.
And horns.
I was telling my dad last night. He came up for dinner. And we were on the topic of aliens and stuff, you know, and what might live in the oceans. And I said, well, if anybody can explain to me what an octopus is supposed to be, I said, whatever it is, it's made of like a million things that shouldn't work together.
Yeah,
if you take an octopus and a platypus, how can you not believe in like a Bigfoot? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I tell my kids all the time, God really enjoys messing with the hubris of man.
Yeah.
Right. He's really like, we always think we got it all figured out.
Right.
But if you want to drive a scientist crazy or even a doctor, just keep asking them why. Right.
Yeah.
Like, well, we breathe. Why? And they'll explain the process. And you're like, but why? And then they'll get down to, well, oxygen bonds with the iron in your blood. But you go to that next, but why? Why does oxygen bond to iron?
Right.
Like eventually they have to like, because that's the rule. Who made the rule? Like it's clearly a rule. We see it everywhere. So it's like, and then who would think, like, I'm going to make all these green things on this planet. They're going to make sure that they soak up everything that these people that are walking around exhale.
Yep.
I mean, it's anytime you see something out of balance, there's people involved.
Yeah.
Anytime you see something like the woods harmony going through its life cycle, we're not involved. Because anytime we get involved, we screw it up.
It's a perfect balance. It's a perfect balance unless we manipulate it. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, oh, we made seedless grapes. Well, that's kind of pointless. Like, it's great for making wine. It's great for eating, but not for continuing the species of the grape.
Right. Right.
You gotta come up with something else. So I don't know how much, Bo, I'll tell you what, man. Anytime you want to talk about anything, you call me. Aliens, ghosts, because I've seen ghosts too. You want to do a show about ghosts? Call me. We'll talk my ghost experiences.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll do this. We'll do this 2 or 3 times if you want to, man. I've loved talking to you. It's real easy to talk to you, man. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. That's you too, and you're probably one of the best listeners that I've dealt with. Usually, people want to ask a ton of questions, so I'm always worried. Like when I run into somebody like you and they didn't ask a lot of questions, I'm like, did you get everything that you wanted?
Oh yeah. I just want to hear what you have to say, man. You know, that's my job on this show is to listen. So,
well, I'm a believer. I believe in you. I believe in what you're doing. Clearly, you're reading my blurb every day.
thank you, man.
Or every time you run a show. I love hearing about how you love the rucks, and I'm sure you're recommending them to all your friends.
Absolutely.
And don't be shy. I mean, give your code out to whomever, buddy. Absolutely. I mean,
I appreciate it.
You want me to send you cards with your code on it? I'll do that too, dude.
Yeah.
Just
hey,
send me a
if you'll do
message.
that, yeah, I'll get those cards out there. for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you want Bump Podcast on one side and your code on the other?
Yes. Yes, I do. If you want me to give me an invoice and I'll help you out with it.
Okay. So just send me a good, like, your favorite image of the
Okay.
Bump Podcast. Hey, the stuff that I forgot to tell you, or maybe I told you, the prepared wolf stuff that guy
Yes.
did, those animations, they were incredible.
He's awesome, ain't he?
Yeah.
He sent me a bunch of those.
Did he find you through me, or did he find me through you?
I don't know. His name.
It's amazing though, right?
Yeah. He's a cop out in LA, I think.
Yeah. He's ordered a few stuff from me.
Awesome.
But yeah, he does. I was asking him about it after I saw it. He's like, "Oh yeah, I do this on my phone. That's how I stay sane."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Holy crap! He's doing stuff on his phone, animation wise, that like I can't even do on my desktop, man."
Yep. Same here, man.
It's heartbreaking.
He was like, just make that your cover background. I was like, I would love to do that, Daniel, but I can't say.
How do I do that?
Yeah, I can't say. I was like taking screenshots of it, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So he sent me an email of it.
Email that to me.
Yeah, he emailed it like,
Yeah,
okay.
I think he's got a whole career ahead of him, a whole second career or something.
Oh,
Because
yeah, he's good.
the stuff that he did was awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, you should have him do intros for your video.
I think I will. Let me write that down too.
That just came to me.
He's supposed to come on the show and share some stories with me, but we just couldn't line up things. He's in a different time zone and he works crazy hours, and then he had to worry about, back then when we first started talking, he was worried about the the riots and protests that were breaking out, and they were getting extra training. So I just kind of backed off of him and let him do what he had to do. But
yeah, make sure you like shoot me a message. Maybe your listeners know the easiest way to get me is Instagram.
Yeah.
Like I'm on Instagram probably from 6 a.m. to when I go to bed at like 10 o'clock.
Sweet.
So I mean, if like somebody really wants to know something, just DM me. Most of the time I'm pretty quick, unless it's like I got to get into a computer system at work or something to find something. Then but like just hey, how big is the Kakamora really? Blah blah blah. I want to do, like, I get a lot of questions that are like, I want to do this. Which bag would be good for that? Or my budget is this and I want to do this. What's the best bag for me?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I'll put a link in my show notes. I'm starting to learn how to do that at least. The whole first
You're
season,
ahead of me.
The first season, I didn't put a link to anything in my show notes. And I feel horrible for that. But I guess one day I can, if I have downtime, I can go back and fill those in. But I can put a link to your Instagram in our show notes. So when people pull up the podcast on their app, they can click on the link and go straight to you.
Well, that'd be cool. Or even the web page too. I'll take that. And don't give up. Stay the course.
I appreciate that. I need that.
I mean, break the compass out, set your azimuth, but be open to the road God's going to take you down. I don't know how else to put it than that. Because, dude, I think this video thing is your medium.
Thank you.
I know you're unpolished right now, but
yeah,
I was watching Billy and just the general excitement. I think it just makes it so much more genuine. It makes it more real.
Yeah.
So God, dude, keep doing what you're doing, man. Don't get discouraged. Don't let those people that are dropping off, because there'll be more people.
Yep, I think so. I appreciate that, Chris. I do, buddy.
My pleasure.
I needed it. Well, I'm gonna go eat dinner. I'm gonna let you hang out with your youngin, and I'm gonna holler at you in about 5 minutes on Instagram, I'm sure.
Okay. Hey, how do I turn this thing off?
uh,
You see, I have a lot of problem with that, so I want to ask before.
There should be a
Oh.
button on the bottom right hand. It'll say end, but I can end it for us if you want to.
All right. So, hey, everybody at Bump Podcast, everybody in the audience, thanks for listening. Bo, thanks for letting me talk to your audience. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless what you're doing, because I hope one day when there's really great pictures of Bigfoot, they're on your podcast.
Chris, I appreciate that, and stay tuned, because in a couple of weeks there is a great picture of Bigfoot coming up.
Okay. You're killing me, bro, but that's a great cliffhanger. Hey, did you see my new shirt?
Yes,
Pissed
I
some
did.
people
I love that shirt, man.
Yeah, well, you know, I always worry about hunters. I'm like, why would you shoot at something that's that big? Don't do that, because if you don't drop it, you're dead.
Exactly.
I mean, look at all the problems raccoons cause with their little opposable thumbs.
Yeah, they can wreck a campground.
No joke. All right, so I'll talk to you forever, man. But you know, God bless you and yours, and we'll talk soon.
All right,
And
man.
then go ahead and dump it, however, because I guess it's the leave button.
I got you right here, brother. Have a good night.
All right, you too.